We'll get going in just a sec. Just got to set up some technical stuff here. All right, everybody. I just got a couple more things to finish up here, and then we'll get into the main content. Just like last time, I decided to publish my notes. It's just on my website, politicalcow.com, because everybody always is like, where'd you get that from? You're making that up or whatever. But I post out everything on the X platform. I just aggregate it and put it out here as we kind of go through things. But yeah, I'll get going here in just a minute. I'm going to put back the intro page here. Don't have to listen to the heavy metal song, maybe something a little bit lighter. Yeah, I know. The theme song gets me too. I can't help it. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll switch it up and make it a hip hop one a little bit later. I appreciate that. Thanks, Big Shot. Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate everybody joining in. Give it a like. Appreciate everyone that's on the TikTok platform as well watching. I can't do live guests when I'm multicasting like this, so something I got to figure out. I think it's probably a limitation that I'm using a Mac, not a PC. But I guess as somebody pointed out recently, we'll go with the political ASMR theme, and I guess that's why I do this late at night. Not really, but I still get a kick out of that. Um, the bull here looks like Donald Trump. Somebody likes the bull here. All right, so we got a few things that I'm looking at since the last time went live. Japan, big thing going on there related directly to Trump's election. We'll walk through that. Last time we spoke of the immediate Trump effect and the impact that he's already having on a lot of countries and a lot of different things. Ooh, excuse me, guys. A lot of things around the world. But in this case, though, there's entire countries and parts of the world that are really counting on the United States, and we may not have been fully following through. So highlight some of that. Of course, there's more meltdowns. We'll probably get a steady stream of that stuff for the next 4 years. I'm sure we'll get plenty of that stuff, but a few more that we have interesting. And along the way, if you guys got any questions or anything, drop it in the chat. We'll talk through it. And the other thing too I wanted to kind of mention is I still have my AI up and running. So if there are any questions or any data points that we want to look up, we can just look to that to give us an assist on that front. Yeah, illegals, the blame game, and there was a documentary on Trump. Did you guys know that? I didn't know there was a documentary out there about Donald Trump, about his campaign. It got released, I think it was released before the actual election happened. All right. So here we go. Never in your life have you been in a political ASMR. I know. I'm using that just someone in the live chat last time mentioned it, and I thought it was pretty catchy, so I'm going to stick with it. We'll stick with that going forward here. See how far it takes us. I don't know. But so if y'all hadn't heard already, and I'll talk about a trip I took here recently to the Philippines as well. There's been disputes over some of the international waters or waters that are legally and recognized internationally as being, part of the Philippines or part of other countries in Southeast Asia. China has been kind of encroaching on those areas, and it's led to agreements like this one that you see on the screen. The Philippines and Japan have a security pact that they've signed, putting China on notice. But I think that's kind of funny because China is this massive superpower now, and I don't think that the size of the military, the Navy, any sort of pushback that they could possibly dream of, making here would really happen. And I'm talking about the Philippines and Japan. It's great that they're kind of uniting on this, but I don't think that it's going to make a dent in it. But at least it speaks to the danger that they see in that area, right? But I'm sure you've heard, Putin has made comments about Trump's election, Iran, Taliban, famously. Well, we'll talk about New York in a minute. But a lot of people have made immediate decisions or changes in tone after Trump's election. And so the Xi Jinping of China said that he's open to having direct talks with the United States now all of a sudden. And one of the things that in Southeast Asia, a lot of the countries out there are concerned with is the aggression that they see against their shipping vessels, against their fishermen. So I'll play this video right here real quick.
South China Sea, The collision caused minor damage to the Philippine vessel and no one was hurt. The Philippines says the Chinese boat carried out dangerous maneuvers before the incident. It's the latest clash between ships from the two countries as Beijing and Manila try to enforce their claims in the waters.
So they're literally ramming, the Chinese Coast Guard is literally ramming fishing vessels from the Philippines or harassing other ships that are kind of, coming into their port. This has become a pretty big deal for them. I actually didn't even know about this. I went to the Philippines last month, and that was the first time that I had heard about anything like this happening around the world. And so you look at a situation like this and, what that means. All of a sudden China wants to, talk. It's behaviors like this that I think when they're talking about, 60% tariffs or whatever it is, those aren't day one policies. Those aren't immediate things. It's a opening position in a negotiation, right? So the folks there that I went on my business trip with, they asked me who I was voting for. And when I said Trump, they were very relieved because they wanted to have this support. They wanted this response to start happening from China for them to kind of back off a little bit. So that kind of gave me a little bit of perspective and made me think of things in a little bit of a different way. We are constantly focused on NATO, but those NATO countries do have a lot of money. They do have a lot of resource, and there's quite a few of them that can pool together, to support one another. But when you look at other regions in the world, they're 100% dependent on the United States or 100% counting on us to help do the right thing or steer things in the right way for their part of the world as well. And this is an example of it. Japan's a big ally, the Philippines as well. Philippines actually, I think, was a U.S. territory for a period of time. But this is, I guess, a video showing, one of their fishing vessels getting, rammed by the Chinese Coast Guard. And then in Japan itself, you had parades once Trump was elected.
We will make America safe again. We will make America free again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. God bless you.
So I don't know, was that like a paper mache Trump that just went by? Here's another view of it. But you hear the people there yelling, Trump's fight, fight, fight. And I still don't know how, did they have that Donald Trump, I don't think it's really a float, a parade float, but did they have that prepared? Were they anticipating his victory so that they can go out and do this? Otherwise, they put that thing together pretty quick. But people in Japan are celebrating. Here's another view of it.
We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy with Bobby again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America...
So, anyway, you get the point here. There are parades. They've created little mini parade floats of Trump in Japan celebrating his win. And you got to think, like, what, initially you see this stuff and you're wondering, like, why the heck are they doing that? This is bizarre, right? It's tied to that initial topic I brought up, the pact that Japan signed with the Philippines. It's not just the Philippines and other areas that are concerned about, China's aggression. Japan is in that mix as well. So the level of insecurity that they felt is starting to, they're starting to feel a little bit more confident now that Trump is in power, and they think that he will actually stand behind his word and stand with his allies. And I think that's in stark contrast to what was there in place beforehand, right? Um, Biden, Harris even reinforced it. Biden was asked, what he would do in a given situation. He said, I will tell Iran, don't, right? And then Harris thought that was like the greatest comment ever. But, that lasted all about a minute. Even Obama many years ago said that there was, a thin red line that was not to be crossed. And Syria went ahead and crossed that line. So GLHF says, I remember some Japanese created Donald Trump music videos when he won the election in 2016. Really? Did they? I didn't know about that back then. But I mean, you can clearly see the narrative that Trump was laughed at, that he was not taken seriously around the world, that we were not taken seriously around the world. That starts to fall apart pretty quickly, and I firsthand spoke to folks about that. It was an important topic for them. I saw it on the news there. It was on folks' mind in the Philippines. You just bump into somebody at, a coffee shop down there, just a random person, and they're talking about it, right? So this actually means a significant amount to a lot of people around the world. It's not just here in the United States. I mean, they're playing his part of his speech where he's talking about making America great again. A lot of the America First stuff that's put out there, it's, they're all for it. Because if we are in a good spot, that means we're in a good spot to support others, right? Sometimes you got to take care of yourself and your family before you can, really stand to help out others. If you really want to help others in the right way, that's what you got to do. Kulo says, what about those two people being best of friends? I don't know. How do you know they were best of friends? A lot of people showed up on those lists. So interesting. It's not just random. It's not just a bunch of folks, trying to troll the Democrats in Japan. It's truly, they're excited that they're going to have some level of protection and stability with Trump in the presidency. More meltdowns. This one got me, right? He literally wrote on his face. I don't know why he put little dots on his nose as well. Kulo says, pictures don't lie. Yeah, I mean, you're right, dude. Like, this guy's totally deranged. I mean, the writing on his face, all that stuff, it's just like, let's listen into his comments. And if he's screaming too much, I'm just going to stop it. Oop. Okay, I don't want to listen to too much of that, but it seems rather exaggerated and forced, the way he's responding. And I think it's an unfortunate part of the culture of having these big reactions, these over-the-top reactions, like falling on the ground, kicking and screaming, pulling your hair out like this kid's about to do, writing on your face, taking extreme steps. There's another video I posted the other day of somebody actually like cutting off all their hair, a lady cutting off all her hair in response to Trump winning the election. I don't understand that culture. Why, what does this really help, or what does this really do? But if you start kind of hearing his thoughts on it, it's like things start to, fall apart pretty quick for him. It's like, I don't understand what drove you to have this reaction, other than you see other people that are part of this group that you feel tied to doing the same thing. And again, you feel compelled to have this kind of a response. It's bizarre to me. I don't quite get it, right? All right, let me fast forward a little bit. Hopefully he stops screaming and he starts talking. Okay, here we go. He's going to start using his words. Let's see what he has to say about this behavior. He cheated! He cheated! He was like purring like a cat. I don't even know. Harris is going to win the recount. You know, it's funny. She's asking for money. I'm on her mailing list. I'm signed up for her mailing list because I went to the rally she held here in Houston a few weeks back. The one that Beyonce famously was supposed to sing at. You can check out some videos on my page if you want to see what went down there. It was a lot of crazy stuff. But the emails that are getting sent out now, when they talk about the recount, there's like a new organization that's been set up. And my thought process is they're trying to collect more donations now to pay off the $20 million in debt that the campaign was left with. That's my brother. Oh boy. Hey, you got me. You got me there. Let's see. Let's see. Do you think he's going to say anything intelligent here? Let's see. And you notice his shirt. I mean, it's a mirror image, but I love day drinking. Wonderful. Only in America can a guy like this find a job.
He cheated! There was fraud! There was fraud!
Oh, okay. Did you see the end? Was that out of his nose or mouth? Let's see.
There was fraud! There was fraud!
Let's see if we can get a slow-mo of that. Oh. Man, look at that thing. Okay, enough of that. The derangement is strong. That's out there. And we're going to see a lot more of it here. One of the really unfortunate ones. Steven says, I hear there was 15 million less votes this election compared to the last one. Hey, let's pull up the... let's see if the Google tell me. Popular vote. Let's see. All right, 71 million to 74. I don't know if you can see that over here. There's a 74 here, 71 here. Let's see, popular vote 2020. So remember, Harris got 71 million. Just remember that number. So 2020 election. There's this good old Joe. Let's see what his total is. Okay. Popular vote, 81 million. So it was larger at one point. And that, you know, I actually took a screenshot during the election in the evening when Trump already had hit 70 million votes. I wonder where Kamala stood at that point, because it doesn't seem like Trump got too many more votes that came in after that. But somehow Kamala's gone from 67 to now 74. So, I mean, how do you go like a 7-to-1 ratio on votes? Well, regardless, Kamala has 71 million votes this time. Somehow Biden had 10 million more. Where did those 10 million people go? Where did they go? You know, I talked about leading up to this, the demotivation of his base, and what's going to be one of the factors that really makes people not want to go out and vote around, you know, his performance in the debates, them kicking him out, Kamala getting in there without any real kind of primary sort of process where there's people actually voting and expressing their, you know, voice as to who they want to take over. All those things happening are kind of have a demotivating effect. And then you have Kamala that comes in and then she says, you know, hey, I want to, let's get this back up here on. Okay, there we go. Got the vote totals here. Then you have Kamala that comes in and she starts flip-flopping on a lot of things, right? So for a very long time, she would say, hey, I'm against fracking. We need to stop oil and gas, so forth. And then overnight, because they need to win Pennsylvania's vote, she starts saying, you know, hey, fracking can be part of the energy mix. And there's, you know, one after another that she starts to, you know, flip her opinion on, just to kind of pander to, in a way. And by doing that, you're alienating and you're taking for granted a lot of the people that are in your base. So, for example, there's a lot of voters that are super, into climate change and the environment on the liberal side. They think that, hey, we're on a bad track. We don't know how many years are left. We need to get this thing under control. And she just takes them for granted. Like, well, they're going to vote for me anyway. There's no way they're going to vote for Trump. So I'm going to start reversing some of my positions here. Did 10 million people fall into that kind of bucket where they were like protesting and saying, oh, well, I'm not voting for you at all? I doubt it. I don't get it. I don't get where that 10 million went. Is that blood? I don't know what the blood is you're talking about. They didn't have like a billion. How do you still got 10? She had 1.6 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Election fundraising totals. Open secrets. All right, so Kamala, so 1 plus 6.5, so 1.65 billion. And our friend over here had 3.8 plus 7.1. What is that? 1.09? 1.1 billion. So she had a $500 million more than Trump. And it's all gone. It's completely wiped out at this point. 20 million in debt is what's left. Yeah, OG Bobby, what is this? I don't know what that guy was writing on his face like that. I think he used a Sharpie. I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have a job. Maybe he can't find work. I don't know. But showing up at an interview with Kamala written on your forehead isn't really going to help the situation there. Let me take a look at some of the other chats. It's all counted. Definitely the celebrity endorsements that got them into debt. They paid them. You know, when Beyonce came out here in Houston, she spoke for maybe 4 or 5 minutes, introduced Harris on stage, gave her a hug, and that was it. I know a lot of the news networks carried her speech, and honestly, where I was seated right next to the stage too, the acoustics, you couldn't hear a word she was saying. But it may have been a lot of the protesters that were just screaming their heads off around us. The party's pretty fractured right now between the Gaza protests and other things going on. I don't know. Maybe she and Biden can forgive the debt. Yeah, right. Yeah, campaign financing debt relief. I mean, I don't know. That's an idea there. Let's see what else we got here. Loss. How many total votes did Trump have right now? Yeah, so Trump had about 70. Let's get back here. 74.8. She's at 71.2. Look at California's numbers. All right, let's look at California's numbers. 72% of counties reporting? You gotta be kidding me. So in California, Harris has 7.2 million. Trump has about 4.8 million of the vote. Yeah. Angel talking about where that all that money went that was donated to her. I mean, it's just bizarre. So the simplest answer for me is that she alienated a lot of her base, if that base was really there. Because I can't in my mind say, well, they all went and voted for Trump because he actually didn't get more votes than last time. So how that worked out, I don't know. But the worst example of the woke mind virus that I've seen now is a FEMA supervisor during the hurricane cleanup efforts or the hurricane response actually told folks, let me see if I can click on this to maximize it. Come on. She actually told folks. Zoom in on this. See, it's this group chat here that they got going for Crew 33. So implement these best practices when you go out, okay? Not one goes anywhere alone. Okay, makes sense. Avoid homes advertising Trump. You go down the list, and I mean, it sounds a little bit better. Frequent breaks and drink water, so forth. But avoid homes advertising Trump. And I mean, keep in mind, folks out there were decimated. Their homes were destroyed. They were completely flooded out. Some were stranded. They didn't have food or water. And the person in charge of humanitarian relief, more or less, decides to avoid homes that were advertising Trump. She's since been relieved of her duties, but this is, I guess, one of the most outrageous derangements that I have seen. So there's a lot of posts out there on the X platform and elsewhere calling her out on this. What's up with my tabs? I don't know what tabs you're talking about. It's these tabs up here. Yeah, so we're going to continue to see stuff like this. I mean, the government is massive. There's a lot of people that are entrenched in there that have oversight or a little bit of power, and they'll exercise it. I hope not, but just from what we've seen, and that gentleman in his car with Sharpie writing all over his face, I suspect we're going to see more and more instances like that. But I hope as they're called out, brought into daylight, I hope that's the best disinfectant. People start to really, across the board, say, hey, this isn't the behavior that we need to have in the United States. This is not how we need to operate within the country. Let me check the chat here a little bit. Whoever made those FEMA rules should be charged. Yep. Well, there should be some consequence for that aside from just losing your job. Because I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it does not seem like that's something people can do. Pure TDS right there. That's right. That's absolutely right. That has to be a common practice if she felt comfortable enough to put that into a group chat. So, son of Sammy Davis, I think that's an interesting observation. And it's not to say the practice of avoiding homes with Trump signs in front of it, but making those sorts of political decisions along there. I'll tell you a personal story, all right? When Obama won the election, a couple of years later, my wife and I were in an adoption process. And in that year, we had one failed adoption and then a successful one that happened, thankfully, not long after that. And there is a tax credit for adoptions, but we were audited and they went through line by line every single thing that we put on there, right? So we hired an attorney to, process the legal paperwork, go to court and file stuff. It's a complicated process. It's not the easiest thing to do. And the IRS literally asked for an hour-by-hour account of what our attorney did for us. And there were some instances where, and that's how they kind of log their hours, right? So that you can kind of see what they're doing for you, because it's not like you're constantly in touch with them. But she had to make some phone calls to different government agencies on our behalf, local ones. And for whatever reason, some of those phone calls the IRS deemed were not directly related to the adoption. And so they totaled it up and they decided to deduct a couple $1,000s off of the child tax credit for us. So we didn't get the full 10, we got like 8. And it was around that same time that a lot of, conservative groups, a lot of individuals that had voted that way started getting audited and seeing more and more of this type of behavior. So I wouldn't be surprised, as son of Sammy was pointing out, if people do take liberties like this, which it's just like sickening to me, because it's not just an abuse of power, but you really feel like you want to harm somebody else because you have some level of power and you don't believe that, you know, they're aligned with you politically. I mean, that's absolute derangement, but it's not something new, unfortunately. It's been something that's been going on for quite some time. And it's just because I voted for John McCain at that time. Which, if you guys are wondering, 4 years before that, I actually voted for John Kerry. I did not vote for Bush. Go figure, right? They didn't go back another 4 years. They just looked at that last vote, I'm assuming. But it was really bizarre. And, you know, it's difficult to kind of get in contact with Iris. They actually called me directly a few times. And I know you get those phony calls from them and stuff, but they sent, you know, letters, all kinds of stuff. And there was like a real, like, you know, interaction. And we went through like some of the details that our attorney had put on paper. And they told me specifically what was not going to be accepted. And I was just like shocked because, I mean, the reason that we hired an attorney was just to have this adoption done. It's not like I have anything else that needs any, you know, legal support. So that was kind of it. We didn't have any recourse. I mean, how do you, in order for us to combat that, you would have had to yet again hire another attorney probably to go and, you know, submit your case on your behalf. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? And that's just one small example. There could be a lot of these instances. I actually think this example with FEMA is much worse than the one I just described happening to me personally, because this was, again, it's a humanitarian response. People were in absolute need at that time. Austin C has a fun fact about 1,000 bottles of baby oil is about 110 gallons. That's lovely. That's very nice. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Brandon. And you're absolutely powerless, right? Both Skull and Bones members. Oh, were they really? That's interesting. I didn't know that. And so, yeah, ACEs need to cut the hiring the IRS does. I mean, remember, there's 87,000 new agents that were put into the Inflation Reduction Act. Which, again, with a lot of that stuff, how does spending an additional $2 trillion actually combat inflation? All right, so the derangement is strong. Yet another example of it, right? But some of the data, well, actually, it's just the data, shows that young voters or first-time voters broke for Trump significantly from the last cycle. Let me see here. I think I got the data in my last... Oops. Let's go down here real quick. I've got the numbers here. All right, so you see here, 32% in 2020 that were first-time voters went for Trump. And then in 2024, 54% of first-time voters went for Trump. They wanted to arm the agents? You gotta be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. What kind of agents are these? So I bring up the young voter thing because the next generation coming up, I mean, they had to live through the COVID experience. They had to live through this experience of inflation that happened afterwards. And they saw, you know, directly firsthand, you know, those Christmas gifts kind of dried up, right? So them breaking for Trump, 54% is pretty significant, and I feel like that's going to be accelerating a bit. It seems like this younger generation is turning out to be a bit more conservative. So again, the inflation that's happened over the past 4 years, now that they're in a position to decide if they want to go to college or not, the student loan rates are much higher than they were, right? So they're looking at, not as good of a deal as perhaps some of the people had 4 years ago. And not to mention, they're not getting a good deal going into it. And there's probably not going to be loan forgiveness for them once they're in a position to have to start repaying it, right? Anyway, here's a clip of those kids in action out there. Oh, come on. Don't make me reload. So you get the point here, right? There's they're holding these parties and they're all getting together to do a watch party for the election, and they're all breaking for Trump here. I mean, I think it's a clear indication of the shift the next generation is having coming into it. And interestingly enough, if we want to turn to the immigration issue, that was a big topic, big one in this last election cycle. So the mayor of New York cut benefits, housing, the stipends, all kinds of stuff that were going to the illegal migrants or illegal aliens. Now they've decided to come out and protest. The illegals are out there protesting in broad daylight. So I think you get the picture here, right? They feel entitled at this point because they've received these benefits for so long. They feel entitled to them and all going out there protesting. But you got to think, was there somebody that said, hey, everybody, on this date, let's go out and protest, right? On the 10th, everybody get out there and protest. Was there somebody that organized them like that? Where did this kind of come from, right? So you could kind of see there's an organizing force behind a lot of this that's happening out there. So you
Racist, sexist, anti-gay. Donald Trump, go away. Racist, sexist, anti-gay. Donald Trump, go away. Racist, sexist, anti-gay. Donald Trump, go away. Racist, anti-gay. Donald Trump has got to go.
Interesting.
So if you guys couldn't see that gentleman with the blue sign that he's holding up, it said "We are home," saying "We are home" in New York City. And so this is the fun stuff. The residents of New York have to look outside their window and see.
Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. Immigrants are...
So, the immediate response to Trump's election, the New York mayor cutting all those benefits, I mean, it's pretty clear where things are headed and pretty clear where things need to head. He's under no pressure to keep this system up and running any longer. I mean, put a great strain on the major cities, New York, Chicago, so forth. There's a lot of videos of residents that you could find out there of them absolutely freaking out about their schools and other resources being redirected. And so yet, we have this organizing force that's coming together, bringing all the migrants out and so forth. I mean, who's putting this together, right? It looks like nobody bought 3 charter buses. Well, I guess, bring them up to New York. You'll find plenty of people to pack in there. But the residents of New York, though, are up in arms. They're not okay with this, and yet they keep, giving out benefits, and it finally came to a stop. So from now through the end of the year, let's see what happens. Because once January 20th comes along, I don't know. It might be a completely different story. I'd like to hear what the plan is to kind of help usher these folks, to a safe location outside of the States. Hopefully. New York just busts them back to Texas. And we're probably just going to turn around and send them right back. But some of the Sunday talk show hosts started talking about, hey, Trump is saying he's going to do this mass deportation policy, but it's going to cost. It's going to be a really expensive thing to do. Why would you want to do that? You're going to spend billions of dollars, which it would be expensive, right? But this guy had a pretty good response to all that.
When people are like, where's Donald Trump going to get all the money to deport millions of people? The same place you motherfuckers got it, to fucking bus them and fly them all across the United States, put them up in fucking hotels, give them fucking apartments, give them free healthcare, and give them $3,500 a fucking month on a debit card. That's where we're going to get it. We're just going to stop giving them that shit and throw them the fuck out. It's pretty fucking simple. You guys already wasted billions of dollars fucking getting them here. Yes, we're going to waste billions of dollars getting them the fuck out of here and getting back to being Americans.
How many can Trump feasibly deport in 1 year? I have no idea what the answer to that is. I have no clue. It's going to be a difficult thing to do, and it's going to be really, we're going to have some, videos of what look like heart-wrenching moments that come out of it. But in all honesty, it's the Democrat Party that's put us in that position, right? Because, yeah, I agree there's people that have come out there and, maybe they came illegally 10, 15 years ago and they're in a point where they own some stuff and they're contributing. At this point, some folks are going to get lost in the shuffle. And, those are going to be the stories that get promoted out there. But who made them get lost in the shuffle? Who brought this massive influx in so that we can't tell, what's a situation that we want to kind of, grant some residency for, where we want to make those calls, right? Because there is discretion out there, but because there's been so indiscriminate movement into the country, it's just not going to be a good situation at this point. And so that's the tragedy of this, that the Democrats have brought on the country. This isn't going to be Trump. They've brought this out there with this massive influx. And this gentleman here just broke it down. I mean, there's literally been $60 billion that has been, fed into this system that's been set up by Kamala Harris. So luckily we don't have to deal with it much longer. But that's the state of affairs that they've left us with. Does it say anywhere that we have to send them to their home country? Africa, Middle East. I don't know what the letter of the law is at that point. I don't know what that is. I just whatever is the most appropriate and effective thing to do. Let's go with that, right? But otherwise I don't know. And yeah, I do think it will be ugly. It's not going to be a pretty thing. But when those things start to surface, walk back, double click into this and remember that this situation we're in is not of Trump's doing. And here's the breakdown that we're talking about, right? And these are federal expenditures only. It does not include, like, when the city of New York does something directly themselves, or city of Chicago redirects funds from their citizens locally or their residents towards services for the illegal migrants. Doesn't include any of that. This is strictly federal programs, right? 66 billion. And then at the same time they say, oh, it would just take 20 billion to end homelessness. So at that point, you got to think, what is the priority that this party really holds? What's really important to them at their core?
The city will no longer issue vouchers to migrants to pay for food, ending a controversial program that had repeatedly come under attack by conservatives and others.
This pilot program in New York City, drenched in both humanity and controversy, distributed debit cards to migrant families staying in city-funded hotels and allowing them to buy their own food. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger following the breaking news for us. Josh?
Well, Bill, it's a program that, as you say, generated plenty of controversy, but now its absence may raise even more questions. The so-called Immediate Response Cards pilot program was designed to help feed migrant families who'd found themselves in New York with no way to afford food. The one-year contract provided what the city described as culturally relevant food to 2,600 migrant families, allowing them to basically buy what they wanted. A family of four with two kids under 5 got about $350 per week to cover food in a program the city said would actually save taxpayers millions a year. It also reduced food waste. You may remember the food the city had been providing in migrant shelters was seen as not culturally sensitive to the needs of some migrant groups, and it ended up just going to waste. For more than a year, the city was groaning under the weight of more than 200,000 asylum seekers. Officials say the migrant population has actually reduced lately. In fact, a massive shelter on Roosevelt Island is in the process of closing. In the meantime, Mayor Adams spoke on the phone yesterday with President-elect Donald Trump, who had vowed during his campaign to mass deport migrants. Aside from congratulating him on his win, though, Adams today would not say what they discussed.
Hey, Miss Sood, how's the night treating you?
Hey, can you remind everybody in the live stream what the 13th Amendment is all about?
Sure. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, ratified in 1865, abolished slavery and involuntary servitude except as punishment for a crime. It's a crucial part of American history, marking a significant step towards ending legal slavery in the country. What do you think about that?
So, was I muted that whole time? I was just looking at your Trail of Tears 2.0 at that walk themselves back. I'm not sure if that part got through or not, but I don't think that we have to get too complicated with it. Just to the port of entry, drop off on the other side of it, and call it a day. There's some engagement that needs to be done with Mexico and maybe some other places so that they can, follow through on it and, prevent any new entry. But anyway, I just found it interesting that the mayor of New York was chatting with Trump. That's an interesting one. I guess because it was such a visible activity, being in New York, them having, so many people put up in hotels and so forth. I think I read a stat at one point that a quarter of the hotel rooms in New York were actually leveraged or used for migrants, which that's crazy, right? If you think of how many hotel rooms are in New York City. Let me see if I can ask my AI here. How many are there?
Hey, Masood, I'm up and ready. What's on your mind?
How many hotel rooms are in New York City?
That's a whole lot of rooms. The estimated number floats around 700,000. Quite the bustling place. Have you ever stayed in a New York hotel?
So, oops, get back here. So now the blame game has started. Ooh, I don't know what happened there. So Pelosi's blaming Biden for not stepping aside sooner, saying that he's the reason that everything fell apart. Honestly, did they have a decent candidate that they could have put out there? I mean, Clooney named a few of them, right? Gavin Newsom was one. I thought he was going to be the guy. I thought it was going to be a lock. I don't know how that would have worked out, but I thought that was going to be his rise to fame. But that didn't happen, and I don't know if they're just playing the long game for 2028. But now things are really falling apart in the party. Pelosi's pointing fingers at Biden. The Democrats are at odds now with Clooney, right? Obama's gotten in the mix. Everybody's starting to, push back on one another. Blue Slime says, what about the legal, I'm assuming you're saying legal immigration. That's fine. I mean, that's why we have those processes, those laws on the books. It's a measured inflow into the country so that we can sustain public services. There's been some logic that's put into that, and there's some screening, and there's some expectations that are put on folks, some assimilation on what it means to be an American. They're put on a real path. None of that happens, right? Who did I vote for? I voted for Trump. Yeah, Gavin Newsom would be just like horrific if that happened. But I think there's enough. I think there's enough baggage that he brings into the mix that at the end of the day, as much as the liberals love him, he's probably not the right person. But if he wants it, he can push for it and be the front runner. But he's gonna lose his party election. I just think he's got way too much baggage with how California's gone, with affairs, a lot of the other things that were already kind of brought to light in California, but just hasn't seen light nationally. It's just not going to be a good situation for him. I invest in crypto and stocks. You'll be very rich in 4 years. Oh, invest in crypto and stocks. Yep, I'm sitting on some crypto. But you know what, Newt, excuse me. I think that we're going to hit like a sharp downturn. So keep a little cash on the side to buy in as things go back down. We're going to see a nice, bubble burst here. This is my thought. I mean, not financial advice. This is just what I'm thinking. I don't know when it's going to happen. You never know when, but I think we're going to have a nice uptick here to a really irrational spot beyond where we're at now. And then it'll crash. And you just have to look to the recent jobs report. 12,000 jobs in October. And they're continuing to cut interest rates despite some, continuing inflationary data that's coming through. So, you know what? For the time being, until this is sustained, let's let it play out. I'm saying let's let it play out. It's going to be difficult for folks, right, is what I'm getting at. So Trump may come into office, and within a couple months, February, March, April, I don't know when, You may be in a scenario where the economy is really in trouble, but at least we have somebody who's actually dealt with these things because he has to make a profit and he has to, take care of people. We've got somebody like that in charge at least, and not someone that thinks the answer is just spend, right? And I don't know how many folks are first time or long time, but the modern monetary theory that Democrats use is I think it's just an excuse to sustain power, right? And it says that you can continue to print as much money as you want. Debt to GDP doesn't matter. You own your own currency and you can just inflate it as much as possible. And at some point, I guess you can like delete your own debt because it's all electronic at this point. And the craziest thing to me is they say in order to control any inflation that might happen, you just need to raise taxes, which that's just bizarre to me. Somebody that's, trying to buy eggs, their groceries are too high. Take away more money from them. I don't understand that. So the last thing I got here, what do I think about 2288 though? Will Trump try to be in office forever? No, it's not possible. He's not gonna. And I mean, I think this is gonna be the last big thing he does. And then he's just gonna kind of go into retirement fully at this point, or at that point. He'll have made his impact. He'll have established a legacy, and he'll just kind of, ride off into the sunset at that point. I don't think he has any desire to continuing well into his 80s at that point. He'll be 82 by then. Norway, I don't know. I'd ask my AI, but I think it'll tell me it can't answer that question because I use the word Trump. Let's see what it says. It freaks out on me when it gets too political for some reason. When I say go into retirement, like he's not going to be, in an active role managing all of his businesses or the portfolio. The kids will be fully entrenched in that, and he'll just, check in now and then, travel, golf,
Hey, Masood.
like that kind of thing. I
Got
assume is what
something
he's
on
gonna
your
get
mind
to.
this late at night? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Elon's going to play a big role, much bigger than we think. We've only heard of the Department of Government Efficiency, but I feel like there's going to be an even bigger role that he's going to play. Here, let me ask my AI about Trump Tower. Hey, do you know if migrants in New York City were housed in Trump Tower? It's thinking about it. It's pretending like I didn't talk to it. Hey, are you there? Did you hear my question?
I did. You were asking about migrants being housed in Trump Tower. I know some migrants in New York City were housed in hotels, but I'm not sure about Trump Tower specifically. What sparked your curiosity about this?
Sounded like I had a little attitude as me. The AI did, right? So that was interesting that it actually responded. Usually there's some keywords or some things that act as like a circuit breaker, and then it just like stops altogether. It won't continue with whatever discussion or conversation you're going. In fact, in the text-based version of it, I've had instances where it begins to answer, and you see 4 or 5 lines written out, and as you're trying to read it, it all deletes, and it says, so it changes it and says, sorry, I can't talk about that. Kai thinks he needs to be in the spotlight till he drops. I mean, to a lesser degree. To a lesser degree, he'll be in it. Is that Rabbit AI? No, this is Copilot, the Microsoft product. It's based on ChatGPT and all the OpenAI stuff, but then Microsoft adds their own stuff into the mix. It's kind of funny sometimes. The AI, if you say something, it actually teases you and it laughs at you. and it's like strange. Blue Slime says, you heard the last time Trump was elected, immigration applications were delayed. Will it be the same now? I think a lot of things were because of a lack of fluency in how different government departments and programs operate. So I'm hopeful that some of this stuff will be smoother this go around, and people don't get lost in the mix. That's the biggest danger, right? Is that valid situations get tied up in all this mess. Copilot is the worst. Oh, you don't like Copilot? So I cycle back between Copilot, the X Platforms AI. Those are my two primary ones, or I just, I'll try a random one every now and then. I use ChatGPT sparingly, but she didn't want to give up any info about Trump. The voice AI on Copilot doesn't have data that's real time. So sometimes it'll say like, I only have data up till, and then it says like, March of 2024 or something like that. So there may be a period of time that it's going to be catching up and, continuing to work on how it responds to different things. I don't, as I'm saying that, I don't know why it would be any different than the text-based one, because you think this is just the voice layer that's on top of that, but I don't know how these things work underneath, so I couldn't tell you. Under Trump, America comes first. Yep. And as I showed earlier, the celebrations in Japan were all about things being America first, and they really wanted. You need to be in a good position. You got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your family. You got to be in a good state before you can really help others, And so I think part of that is take care of things here, get the country in a good state so that you can really be supportive of other places. So where there's China, doing aggressive things in Southeast Asia and Japan in the open waters out there, ramming their fishing vessels, ramming their, other merchant ships with their coast guards. Trump coming into office gives them some confidence that he can push back on China for them. Just don't deport any single adult. Hey, come on. So one thing I didn't know about was this documentary, is it? On the X platform that was released, The Art of the Surge. When was it released? So this is November 4th. Watch episode 6. So they put episode 6 out there the day before the election. But look, what's this one? Take a front row seat and watch history unfold. Watch episode 1. We'll make it happen. Don't let that AI woman. Okay, come on. Have you ever seen what Donald Trump is like when out of the public eye? Watch him interact with his top advisors, Elon Musk, and the media. Episode 4. I don't know. I linked this out there because I hadn't heard of it, but I'm not going to binge watch this, but maybe I'll start checking out some of these episodes. Oh, is this from the Tucker Carlson Network? That's interesting. That's episode 5. Huh. Donald Trump goes in the Lions Den journalism conference in Chicago, uncover what really is happening in the crowd. Watch this clip, then go watch the episode 3. Let's watch this clip. Let's see what happens.
Please roll on this because y'all with the Trump team. We just witnessed your candidate lie considerably to this audience.
Has now gone to a place that was pretty hostile.
ABC News senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott.
You're talking to a Hall of Famer.
Kadia Gobab.
You're talking to a Journalist of the Year.
And Paris Faulkner.
We had some hostility behind the scenes.
So let me be real clear. At the outset, Donald Trump insulted Rachel Scott in our house.
Good afternoon, NADJ, and welcome to a conversation with former President Donald Trump.
I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner.
I remember that. So that's interesting. Did they release it on Tucker's network back, I guess, earlier, and now it's just making its way to the X platform? They like licensed it or something? Hey, thanks, Norway. So, you know, it's funny. Somebody the other night on the live stream actually said a similar thing, and they said this is like political ASMR. So from now on, all of these are political ASMR if they're in tight. Anyway, I appreciate that. But don't count on me doing any Fiverr gigs. I don't think I'll have the attention span for that. But I definitely think I'm going to check these out. $350 semi-trailers and equipment claiming to be from FEMA staging area in what? All right, let's see. Let's see if the X platform has anything on that. So, oh, look at that. What is this saying? I thought FEMA was broke. What is going on? I don't know. FEMA is using a decommissioned Air Force base to stage them at with emergency supplies. So that's where the thing's at? Huh. I don't know. I haven't heard about this. I don't know what's going on. Do you know what's going on? More DC? I have not heard about this at all. Why is FEMA staging all these trailers? All right, I'm going to give this a shot and click on that video.
Hi, guys. Okay, I have a quick question. I'm hoping that someone wiser than I am can answer this question for me. I was hit up yesterday
is this an ad?
By a girlfriend who was hanging out and saw a post over in a group community page for one of the towns that that we both belong to. It's called the Tawas Exchange. And somebody had posted about FEMA staging and bringing in supplies into our area.
Wait,
and they had
the monkeys
questions
weren't
of
in
whether or
Michigan,
not it
were
was
they?
true or not. So she sent it to me, you know, of course I looked into it. Long story short, there is a town hall meeting, okay, township meeting from Oscoda. It was held October 28th, I do believe. I have the video. It is on YouTube. I will leave it up above in a card. I will also leave it down below for you so you can click on it. You can watch it yourself. It's going to be at the 10-minute, 30-second mark. The language is very specific and basically stating that they are bringing up 350 semi-trailers and equipment into our area for an emergency.
For emergency.
So I'm going to spin you around because I don't even want to get the verbiage wrong. My question is, what are they staging for in these 6 counties? At first I was like, okay, well, is this something common?
All right, so she's probably going to kind of give her commentary a little bit more, but I'm going to go to the township meeting here. Give me that in a new tab. And we'll go to 10 minutes and 30 seconds on it. Let's see what they say. 10 minutes, 30 seconds. All right, 10:21.
Oh, he's not
close
coming.
enough.
I believe his is in the packet. No, his report.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, his packet, his report is in the packet. There's not much change other than our projects are moving.
So I'll give you a quick observation. You notice here, I think you could see it. Yeah, you should be able to see this. It says the live chat replay was turned off for this video. Now, when you start your live stream, you can choose to have it off up front, or I think you can shut it down after the fact. How many people have watched this? Only 6,000 views. Okay, let's get it going.
Moving along. Next would be the report, the airport report. That would be me. The airport was just notified that FEMA has chosen the airport facility as a stationing hub for emergency services through FEMA. They will be serving 6 counties in this area, and they will be bringing in some 350 semi-trailers with equipment to park on the base. So if you see a lot of trucks coming into the base, that's what it is. It's nothing to get scared about there. That's what
I'm sorry, I got to replay it.
area, FEMA. They will be serving 6 counties in this area. It will be me. The airport was just notified that FEMA has chosen the airport facility as a stationing hub for emergency services through FEMA. They will be serving 6 counties in this area, and they will be bringing in some 350 semi-trailers with equipment to park on the base. So if you see a lot of trucks coming into the base, that's what it is. It's nothing to get scared about. They're staging for emergency situations in any of these 6 counties that FEMA takes care of. And Mr. Freeman is in the house. Yeah, that's perfect.
Is that it?
And just one other item from the airport. They are...
This was a long pause after saying that. I mean, if we didn't watch the beginning of it as to where this fell on their agenda, but it's kind of a long pause after saying, that's it, nothing to be scared about. Why would you even use those words, nothing to be scared about? Like, does he know there's something more going on that's actually giving him a little anxiety? What the heck is this?
Working on the paperwork to submit for the grant to build a new terminal at the airport. So that
Ground
saw perspective pictures of what it would look like, and it will be fantastic. Yep. It'll be slightly smaller than what we have now, but it'll be a beautiful building.
Okay, they've moved on to some development activities. Okay, so that's interesting. Now, does she get to it?
Don't know much about FEMA. So is this common? Are there staging areas everywhere throughout not only the state of Michigan, but throughout the country? I could not find any information on that. I only was able to find one piece of information talking about what a staging area is. I found information about a staging area happening before they know that an emergency is about to happen, like a hurricane, or a staging area is made after a disaster has already has already happened. Neither that I know of is happening here in my area where I live. I live in northern, like lower Michigan, kind of in the mid. I'm kind of at the at the entrance part of northern Lower Michigan. I would be included, I would think, in these 6 counties. When you look at the map, I think my county would be grouped in with that. It is an area, it is my community, like my church is in this area, my shopping is in this area. So I'm gonna spin you around.
All right, I'm just gonna pause it there. It's rural. Are they truly just staging it, and that's going to be a staging space for a good part of the state? I don't know. I don't know. Seems strange though. Here, I'll bring this last one up. It says there's a video here on TikTok of the trucks moving through.
Want to pass along, give to you guys about FEMA, because a lot of people don't understand how FEMA operates. So FEMA provides training for things that they see on the near future. They use predictive modeling, threat assessment, following trends to look at possible scenarios that might be coming up. This year, the first 3 scenarios that they're offering to emergency managers like myself in these virtual tabletop exercises is infrastructure blackouts, social unrest, and mass casualty, mass shooter incidents specifically focused around malls. So, given that information, I would highly recommend you to think about your planning processes, your systems, and how you're just going to conduct yourself in terms of one of those 3 or more occurring in your daily life. Something to think about, something to keep in mind when you see FEMA putting information out. Hope this helps.
Why don't liberals just identify?
I'm not even sure what the purpose of that gentleman's post was for. I don't know, seems to... I don't know. It's got me very confused. I don't know why he posted that. If he was telling people to be ready for infrastructure disruptions, I don't know, got me on that. I'm not familiar with I-485. Always carry a firearm. Okay. Interesting. All right. Interesting. But what else, guys? What else? Let me see if there's anything else actually on X that popped up around that. What the heck is this? Is that Willie? Jeez, this guy always has like craziest stuff. I don't know what the heck's going on out there right now, guys. Oh, hey, cool. Check this out. Oh, this guy's going to be the border czar? Do you know who he's talking about? This was like one of the best exchanges that I've ever seen.
Options presented. The third included the option for family separation. This initiative would pursue prosecution of all amenable adults, including those presenting with a family unit. Mr. Homan, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy?
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes, a zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay. Mr. Chair, the memo is...
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. I don't know why her staff decided to give her those questions or, take that line of questioning towards him. That they're always just looking for a soundbite, and that one just really blew up. That did not work out well for her. Blue Slime says, what do I think about the Middle East war? The whole thing's unfortunate. I equate it in their case to 9/11 and the level of response that we gave. I think that's happening now in terms of the level of response that they're providing. But there's a lot of countries that have gotten involved in a lot of connections to where it can get way more out of hand very quickly. I don't know what the answer is, though. The whole thing is very unfortunate. She was cast. She has no knowledge. AOC.
Three different options presented.
Didn't mean to start her again. When was this posted? This is an hour ago. Oh, he's being appointed border czar now. Which, honestly, if you wanted somebody strong to do it, there's your guy right there. What are my thoughts on Putin coming out to end the Ukraine war? I mean, that is just another example of the Trump effect, where, Trump wins the election and then you have China saying, hey, we want to normalize relations. We need to get along better, making overtures. And so that stuff, the Philippines, Japan, Southeast Asia being excited about that because the tensions can kind of get diffused there and China can behave in a way that's acceptable to its neighbors. Likewise, Putin's willing to come to the table now and just end things. Who's better for Israel, Trump or Kamala? So that depends on what you consider better. If it's in terms of funding, if it's in terms of getting to a negotiated resolution, right? It seemed like the Democrats were going to be continuously funding a lot of these things happening endlessly. And it seems like Trump's tact is to bring people together and put an end to a lot of these conflicts. Yeah, Levi, you're absolutely right. I mean, so the Putin thing is 100% a result of Trump getting elected. 100% a result of that. Is what live, Ryan? Is this live? Let's see what else I got here. Posts. Oh, what does Crypto Face have to say? Whoa. Had to close for my mental health. My entry was fine. Exit was bad. See you later this week. So this dude just lost 200 grand on this latest trade. I guess he tried to short Bitcoin as it shot up past 81,000. I'm not familiar with the envelopes, Froggy. Live 5 seconds ago. I wouldn't say it's a resolution to fix everything that's going on, but at least to come to some settlement or agreement to bring the latest round of things to a close. Yeah, Blue, it's this has way too much it's way too personal for everybody there. Let's see what else we got going on here. They say Rick Scott will be majority leader. Oh, he's just running. Okay. All right, guys. I think I'm going to call it an evening, but there's more derangement to come that we'll just have to keep an eye on. But as you know, folks were mentioning in the chat, Trump has had an immediate effect on the world already. He's brought, without even making a call, a lot of people have come to the table wanting to play ball now. So hopefully that'll just be a continuing trend, and hopefully he's had enough experience to make this more of an organized campaign to fix the government, to make it more efficient, because that's something that's been lacking for a very long time. The government's objective is to spend more. Its objective is to continuously grow at this point. And I'm speaking from, an individual agency standpoint, right? These new projects, agencies, wherever you get created, and you want to continue to build it and do more. But nobody really looks at whether or not it's been effective in achieving the outcome it was set out for, or if it needs to be stopped and we need to try to do something else. Nobody really knows where the envelopes are. But I'll be closing things out here. Elon and the Doge is going to save us money. Yes, I hope so. I hope so. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. See if we got more stuff in the morning.